What's going on, everyone? This is my latest video where I'm focusing on the director, ranking his work from worst to best. I've done many other directors. I've done David Lynch, David Fincher, Wes Anderson, Christopher Nolan, the list goes on. This time, as you probably know by clicking on the video, I'm doing J.J. Abrams. Now, he's done 6 theatrical films. I'm not focusing on his TV shows or anything. This is 6 theatrical films. Now I'm going to rank them from worst to best, 6 being his worst, 1 being his best, in my opinion. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if your ranking list. But without all the exposition, let's get started. So my number 6 is his latest movie, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, this movie was terrible. I absolutely hated this movie. Check out my review. I posted it not too long ago. I think this movie's terrible. I think that it doesn't even feel like a J.J. Abrams movie. It feels like a corporate product. And I guess that's fine, considering that it pleased a lot of fans. A lot of people praise this movie. I personally really did not like this movie. I think that it is the epitome of everything that's wrong with blockbuster filmmaking. And that's why it's number 6. Number 5 is a movie I don't hate. In fact, when I saw it the first time, I absolutely loved it in theaters. And my number 5 is Star Wars: Force Awakens. Now, I've only seen this movie one time. Now, I saw this, at this point, it's probably been 5 years now. When I saw it in theaters, I absolutely enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film experience. But I can't see myself rewatching it. You know, I haven't seen it a second time because I'm like, I feel like that experience will dampen, severely. And that's why I'm saying it's my number 5, because I liked it the first time, but I know that it's a carbon copy of A New Hope, and I feel like that would definitely detract a lot from me in terms of like a second viewing experience, as well as just kind of knowing that the series falls flat with episode 8 and 9. That also probably won't help, but I think it's a rock-solid movie. I think that it's got fine performances. Visual effects are obviously top-notch, as well as sound mixing. And John Williams' score is, of course, good stuff. That's why it's number 5. Number 4 is, well, we get into his Trekkie business. Star Trek Into Darkness is my number 4. This was an enjoyable movie. And this is actually one of the reasons why I don't want to watch Force Awakens, because Star Trek, I almost said Star Wars, Star Trek Into Darkness I absolutely loved when I saw it in theaters about 7 years ago. Absolutely adored it. I thought it was really, really good. I gave it like a 4.75 to 5-star rating. But I then rewatched it recently, like a couple months ago in preparation for this list, and the movie does not hold up for me. I think it's a rock-solid movie. I give it now probably like a 3.25 or 3.5. I think it's an alright movie. I think it's got fine performances. I like the lens flares. Kind of what I'm doing now, except it's a sun flare. It's an entertaining movie, but it's very service-based. Like, at the end of the day, you don't really remember Star Trek Into Darkness other than it being like a Wrath of Khan kind of ripoff. Other than that, it's just a movie that it felt like a corporate product as well. I can see why teenagers would like it. I was a teenager when I saw it, but other than that, other than with what it's focused on with, the age group, I don't think it's really affect the movie. I think it's solid, though. It's solid. I'll give it that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of empty calories. You know what I'm saying? Now we get to the top 3. This is where people are going to be kind of surprised. My number 3 is, ironically enough, Mission Impossible 3. So this movie, the reason why it's number 3 is, hands down, Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance. Philip Seymour Hoffman in this movie easily could have been a forgettable villain. But Philip Seymour Hoffman's presence is incredible in this movie. I think it's so effective with what he has to bring to the screen. This is also when Mission Impossible transitioned from a, in my opinion, terrible series into a enjoyable series. And with each one, it got better and better. 3 was the transition one. I think that 3 does have some pretty bad cinematography, but it's to be expected because J.J. Abrams went from TV to films. So his shots went from a lot of close-ups, because TV does that a lot. They'll have a lot of close-ups, and this movie has a lot of close-ups. He gets better, though. His cinematography does get better, as with each film. But number 3 of Mission Impossible, I think it's effective in terms of its blockbuster storytelling, as well as its action scenes and ideas. But I think that technical aspects do kind of falter a bit, especially, over the years. But again, I respect the movie because it transitioned the Mission Impossible movies into what we now look at as a good series. That's my number 3. My number 2 is Super 8. So Super 8 is an enjoyable movie. It's got a great action scene with the, the train crash. Excellent, excellent action scene. You care about the characters, their chemistry with the little kids and everything. It's really effective. It's definitely a homage to like even Spielberg movies like of the 80s. And honestly, I feel like I know it got inspired a lot by Steven Spielberg movies, but I felt like Super 8 really inspired Stranger Things, honestly. Like I remember when I first started watching Stranger Things, I was like, oh wow, this reminds me a lot of Super 8, which I know also was inspired by Spielberg movies, but I just can't help but think about that. Super 8 is another one of his movies where it's enjoyable, albeit it's lightweight entertainment. It has some scenes that are effective, but overall you're left with a nostalgia trip down memory lane that, whilst is enjoyable while you're watching it, overall it's kind of forgettable, other than the action scene and the chemistry between the characters. But my number one movie is a movie that I think is actually good. A lot of these entries have been like solid. This is the one that I think is actually good blockbuster entertainment. And my number one is Star Trek 2009. This is a movie that surprised a lot of people when it came out. And I think it does such a great job of being fast-paced, but having characters that you care about. It was one of the first movies that introduced, his signature lens flare. But it's also a movie that has a lot of great, technical aspects. Makeup, CGI is on point. I think it's aged pretty well for 10 years. And on top of that, there's just so much fun going on in this movie. I think the storytelling is solid. I don't think it's great because I do think that there is logic that kind of seeped out of the movie when you actually sit down and think about it. But while you're watching it, it's quite enjoyable. And on top of that, you remember it because it's what got mainstream audiences to like Star Trek, which is kind of crazy because it always used to be that, oh, Star Trek is for geeks. But when that movie came out, Star Trek 2009, it united everyone. Trekkies were happy for the most part. And the audiences, like you and me, they were enjoyable as well in terms of this movie. Now, that's my ranking of his 6 movies, J.J. Abrams, that is. Now, I always like to do at the end of, these ranking videos, my thoughts on the director. J.J. Abrams, I will say this. I think that he is an okay director. I think that he is a director that is really studio friendly. And by that, I mean a studio will walk up to him and be like, listen, do this. And he'll be like, all right, sir. And he'll make the movie. I don't really feel like he has that many trademarks, though, other than, lens flare. And honestly, having the fast food of entertainment, I mean, his movies are pretty forgettable. They're enjoyable while you're watching that for the most part, but they kind of are forgettable other than you either being frustrated or just kind of being like, come on. But I don't think he's a bad director. I just think he's a director that has so much potential. Like, he clearly is inspired by Spielberg, and I wish that he took it to another direction. He likes mystery box movies also, which I do too, but I feel like he's not really able to satisfy audiences with that. I feel like he has those ideas, but he's not able to implement them. So I feel like with the right scriptwriter, he could be a good director, but for now, I think he's an okay to solid director. I think he's a director that, I'll still watch his movies, don't get me wrong, I've seen all 6 of his, but I think he's a director that I wish that he took more risks with his filmmaking style, especially since he's someone that is a bright talent still. And yeah, that's my thoughts on J.J. Abrams, as well as, my list of his movies. Guys, what are your thoughts on J.J. Abrams' movies? Rank them down below in the comment section. Also, I like that you guys have been leaving a lot of requests. I've got Lars von Trier, Sidney Lumet. Very glad you guys have been doing that. It helps out with being able to do future videos. Keep in mind, though, this is something that takes a while. It's not something that, oh, I'm going to be able to watch all of Lars von Trier's movies in like a week. It takes a while. Sidney Lumet, same thing applies. And Alfred Hitchcock, same thing applies. So bear with me. And as always, let me know who you guys want me to rank next in the comment section below. As always, don't forget subscription, notification bell. I'll catch you guys later.